that you organize to commemorate the martyrdom of Hazrat Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And when the people started commemorating these majalis, it removes the veil from the faces of the enemies of Fatima Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And it removes the identity, it reveals the identity of the people as the perpetrators of FADAK, the rights of Hazrat Zahra. Not only that it reveals them who they are, it is important that we commemorate these nights and these days to mark the shahadat of Hazrat Zahra. And had we commemorated these nights, there will be less people denying the rights of Hazrat Zahra. Just as people do not have the courage to defend the enemies of Karbala and the enemies of Sayyid al-Shuhada, no one would have had the courage to defend the enemies of Hazrat Fatima. I'm not sure if I'm conveying the message. अज़ान के नामी जिस तरह से करबला के दुश्मनों का कोई दिफा नहीं कर सकता ना, इसी तरह से अगर हमने बीबी की भी शहादत को उसी एहतमाम के साथ बनाया होता तो किसी में जनाबे फातिमा की भी दुश्मनों के दिफा की जुर्रत ना होती. And today, when one of the great scholars, Sayyid Muhsin al-Amin al-Amili, Jabal Amil from Lebanon, who was in he wrote a book called A'yanu Shia, the Shia personalities, and it's encyclopedia on Shia personalities, over 10 volumes. In fact, 32 volumes. When he compiled the book, many Egyptian scholars had come to Najaf to visit the Hawza Ilmiya Najaf Ashraf. Say that salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
The scholars from Jamiat al-Azhar had come to Najaf Ashraf to visit the Hawza of the Shia, and they were all present during Muharram. So they asked the people, how many days do you commemorate the martyrdom of Sayyid al-Shuhada? So the people said, well, we'll have the 10 nights, and then after that we'll still commemorate the further days. We have majalis here and there throughout Muharram, and then all of Safar, and then Arba'een, the Ashraf Arba'een, all the way up to the 8th of Rabiul Awwal, we have continuously majalis. These scholars turned around and said, wasn't just 10 days enough for Sayyid al-Shuhada? They said to Sayyid Muhsin al-Amin al-Amili from Jabal Amil, why do you commemorate so many days for the shahadat of Sayyid al-Shuhada? Weren't the 10 days enough? I mean, if you wanted to do it longer, you could have had just 1 month, Muharram. But why do you have Muharram and then Safar, the entire 2 months, and then more than 2 months? 2 months is a long time. Why do you commemorate Ashura so much? He said, we commemorate Ashura so much so that you don't forget Ashura, because we did not celebrate Ghadir as much as we should have, and you forgot Ghadir. Because you forgot Ghadir, now we will remember Ashura so much so that you do not forget Ashura. If we had celebrated Ghadir and if we had commemorated the martyrdom of Hazrat Zahra, then the enemies of Ghadir and the enemies of Hazrat Fatima Zahra, there would have been no person in Islam who had the courage, who would have had the courage to defend the enemies of Hazrat Fatima and Amirul Mu'mineen.
Subhanallah.
But today we have people who defend the enemies of Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Fatima, but they do not defend the enemies of Imam Hussain alayhi salam. In fact, some years back, in one of the cities in India, one of the Pakistani Noha reciters went and he read the Noha, Pyare Nabi ki Pyari Nawasi. Sham ko qaidi ban ke gayi. All the Sunni children started asking their parents, Pyare Nabi ki Pyari Nawasi? The beloved granddaughter of the beloved Prophet. Do the Shias have a separate Prophet, or do they believe in the Prophet that we believe in? So the parents said, no, they believe in the same Prophet as we do. He said, so did the Muslims take the granddaughter of the Holy Prophet to streets? Now the parents were astonished and they said, well, yes, well it was so-called Muslims. He said, now do we also curse those enemies or do we accept them? The entire Muslim community had to say that, well, we don't actually believe in the perpetrators of Karbala, people who oppressed Sayyid al-Shuhada and his family. They had to come out and openly say that, no, we do not defend them. And then some scholars got up and said, we must stop this Noha from being played in India because this is now arising questions in the minds of our young people. They are saying that, which Muslims were they? And which side are we on? Are we with Sayyid al-Shuhada or are we with the enemies? You see, it makes every person question. And hence, we need to commemorate the martyrdom of Hazrat Fatima to Zahra Salamullahi alayha, because it removes the veil from the faces of the enemies of Hazrat Fatima, and people do not have the courage to defend. In fact, even on some of our television channels, when the people talk about FADAK, straight away we have a lot of calls from our Sunni scholars. They say that please do not discuss this because we cannot defend it. I have had many Sunni scholars now say that we accept that her right was taken away, but we do not wish for it to be discussed because it does arise questions. Yes, we have to look after the unity of the Muslims. We must not destroy the unity. And now we have to think of new mode of commemorating these majalis. However, we must defend Hazrat Fatima to Zahra. And FADAK, just like Amirul Mu'mineen had a sword called Zulfiqar, the event of FADAK is the Zulfiqar of Janab Fatima to Zahra.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Subhanallah. FADAK मीज़ाने हक़ व बातिल है. I say certain words that I have worked very hard to say these things, but inshallah I will say them in Urdu, and if need be then I may translate them, but I inshallah will try and say them as slowly as possible so that you all understand them. FADAK मीज़ाने हक़ व बातिल है. It is a balance of the truth and the falsehood. FADAK तारीख में मकाम फातिमा है. FADAK तारीख में मकाम जली है. It is very clear and known fact of the history. थोड़ा सा आराम से चल रहा हूँ, अज़ीज़ान किराम थोड़ी सी तवज्जो कीजिएगा. FADAK जनाबे फातिमा का हक है. FADAK दुश्मनाने अहले बैत के चेहरों से निकाब हटाने का मकाम है. FADAK हक है फातिमा का. FADAK ज़ुल्फ़िकार फातिमा. अज़ीज़ान किरामी, जनाबे ज़हरा ने बहुत ज़हमतें करने के बाद राह विलायत की सबसे पहली मुजाहिदा का नाम फातिमा तो ज़हरा. She came out and defended the vilayat of Amirul Mu'mineen. It was very difficult for people to understand why she had come to claim her right. It is not an easy event to digest and to understand. But we understand that all people who look at the event of FADAK, they find it difficult to analyze. The easiest thing in history is to just repeat the events that happened. But analysis of the history, as in Farsi they call it, one is tarikh and the other is falsafai tarikh. Because it's a final majlis, I have a lot of conclusions to give.
MashaAllah.
Bear with me, please.
MashaAllah.
One is history, tarikh, and the other is falsafai tarikh. History is the events that took place. And falsafai tarikh, the philosophy of history, is when you analyze the events and you give a conclusion and you try and work out why these events took place, what were the reasons, who was on the righteous and who was on the wrong. And that analysis is falsafai tarikh.
MashaAllah.
Any child can mention the history, but the analysis of history is the most difficult thing.
MashaAllah.
But Amir al-Mu'mineen had said history repeats itself. Tarikh apne ko dohrati hai.
Subhanallah.
And when all of those events, if you can analyze them, think on them, pay attention to them, because they will repeat themselves. And today you need to realize how any of those events are occurring again and which side are you on.
Subhanallah. MashaAllah.
It is very easy, brothers and sisters, it is very easy to curse the Yazid of history. I'm not sure if I have. It is very easy to curse the Yazid of the history because he will not come and shoot you. He's dead and in hell. But the Yazid of today, it is very difficult to confront because he may take away your nationality or may strip you of your rights, may put you in the prison, may deprive you of the ziyarat in Makkah. It is difficult to speak against the Yazid of today. All the people who still oppress the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, they remain to be the followers of Yazid today.